As we are back here on our extended edition, whether you're listening on Patreon or Apple Podcast Premium, we certainly appreciate it. You guys supporting us here on the show. It goes a long way to make the show better and put it in a better place. So, as in the last episode, well, really in our first episode, I guess you should say, first and last, we were just sort of talking about the impact of these books and movies and kind of like what we remember with it going on and like how we kind of got into it. So I thought maybe we kind of continue that a little bit, and then also maybe just talk about like which books kind of were our favorites and which movies, you kind of like. So I can go first. So my first really introduction to Harry Potter, I didn't read the books, mostly because I was a big video game nerd, so I didn't really read any books until sort of like after high school. To be entirely honest. So the first time I watched the movie, it was actually with my niece because I have like brothers that are quite a bit older, and so it was a couple years after it came out. And I have a niece who, she loved it, and so she watched it like 100 times, and so I watched it with her like 60 times. And so I'd seen the first movie a lot, and that was really my first introduction with it. And then I didn't touch it again until sort of after high school. And I read the books. I read book 2, book 3, and then Prisoner of Azkaban, which is still my sort of favorite book. And then I believe actually I read book 4. I was plowing through Goblet of Fire, and at the time, I think at the time, Half-Blood Prince was coming out in theaters or had just come out in theaters. And so I do remember that I saw 8 in theaters at midnight. I did go see 8 in theater at midnight. But I believe actually I watched Chamber of Secrets with you when you had come out to Oregon to visit me when I lived in Oregon, and then that's where I live now. I moved back to Ohio, where we're both from, in between there for a bit. But I think you were out visiting, and I was plowing through it, and I think I watched Chamber of Secrets with you.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Man, the crazy thing is, I wish I could go back, and at the time, I've been into tons of different fandoms. Like Lord of the Rings was coming. I mean, we had a crazy. You think about the movies and the stuff that was coming out around Spider-Man, like we even had
Batman
Star Wars.
Begins,
We even had some Star Wars stuff coming out too.
Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. So there's so much stuff that I remember just seeing and consuming and whatnot. And I can't remember when things really kicked off. I remember being in middle school and that movie was going on. I couldn't go see it. I know in high school that I did watch it, and it was with our buddy Tom that I got to go over to his house, I believe, and I got to see it. Or maybe I just snuck it in sometime, but I remember watching it with him and watching a couple of them. And I think at that point in time, my parents were fine with it because my dad ended up really liking those movies. He loves the Lord of the Rings movies. Like he loved the Hobbit movies. We went out and watched those for the day after they came out in theaters. And my dad hates going to the theater, but totally loved going to see those things. So I think we even went and saw a Harry Potter movie in theater together. But yeah, I think it was really end of high school, going into college when I really got into more of the movies. And I was reading the books too at the same time. So yeah. And for me, it was just like, I loved them. And it was cool to be there when they were coming out.
You were reading them as they came. No. So when did you start reading?
So I started reading them. I think I was probably like a sophomore. Okay. I think it was either freshman or sophomore year, because I had
all the books were not available because I remember Deathly Hallows came out in it had to have been 2006, our senior year.
I think it's 2007 it came out right after we graduated, I think. Let me check.
Deathly Hallows. Let me look it up because July 21st, 2007. Yes, I remember. I was at one of our friends' house, our buddy Evan. That should tell you. And we had a roommate in college, our buddy Drew, who we lived with our freshman year. We both went to the Ohio State. Well, all three of us went to the Ohio State. Well,
That's
all
right.
four of us actually, because I was at Evan's house.
Right.
And I remember went over to Evan's, and it's the middle of the summer, and Drew is there, and he is reading this book, and he's like, I haven't gone to sleep, and it's like 4 in the afternoon, and I was like, when'd you get it? He's like, midnight. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, he's
Yeah.
blitzing
Blitzing
it.
through it. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I do think. Wow, that's wild. Yeah, because for me, I don't think I wasn't keeping up with it as they came out. Like I had friends who were like, "Oh, I'm gonna go like get that book at midnight." I don't recall going. I think I stood in line. I'm trying to remember with my cousin Mandy just to hang out with her friends and stuff. Like I wasn't really there. I don't think I even got a copy of the book, and then I left before they got in. It was just to go out and socialize while they were in their chairs waiting to go get the book. So I don't really remember, man. Like honestly, the sequence of like which books I read and then which movies that I ended up watching, because I definitely, as the movies came out in high school, I saw, let me see, movies. Let me see, right here. The movie release date was, so we had one come out in 2005, then 2007, so 2004. So yeah, I remember as like Prisoner was coming out and Goblet of Fire, I was watching those in theater, but I definitely didn't watch the first two. Wasn't allowed.
Yeah, me either. So the only one I saw in theater was Deathly Hollows Part 2. Because Deathly Hollows Part 1, for whatever reason, I just didn't see it when it came out, and actually I downloaded it illegally and watched it. I definitely did a torrent or LimeWired it back in the day, and watched it that way. But I did go at midnight to see Deathly Hollows Part 2, and I've only actually gone at midnight. Look, the movies I've actually seen at midnight, especially, so this is before, like now they do you can go Thursday at 7 p.m. right?
Right.
This is,
You're
you actually,
talking
no, you
true midnight.
legit had to go at midnight. The only movies I've seen at midnight where I saw The Dark Knight at midnight.
Let's go. I remember that.
I saw Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
I saw The Dark Knight Rises at midnight. And then I think Deathly Hollows Part 2, and then only because Ez dragged me there, Twilight.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
And now you don't have to go at midnight anymore to see things.
Right. Yeah, I was just a Cedric fan, so that's why I was rolling over there to see old Twilight.
Right.
No, I mean,
Well,
yeah,
I'll go see him in Batman at midnight, or if I have
heck
to.
yeah.
So
Heck yeah, you will. He's freaking awesome. But it just dawned on me. I think, and I'm just trying to recall all of this. I think Goblet of Fire was the first one I saw in theaters. I think the first three were out, because I remember being so blown away by Goblet of Fire because it's one of my favorites. It's my go-to, actually. When you talk about go-to movies,
I think it's most people's.
it's so good. It's such a good, happy feel to it, and it's just like, it's exciting. It's awesome. Anyone who has ever, there's a play, and I'm going to make Matt watch it at some point. It's called Puffs. And Matt, I was in Germany. My girlfriend, shout out to Lottie, made me watch this. Holy smoke. It's one of the funniest things I've ever freaking seen in my life. I was laughing. I almost pissed myself. It was so funny. I just really, really, really enjoyed it. And I'm a Hufflepuff. So it's kind of like making fun of that house or whatever. Matt, it had me laughing and it had me crying. I'm driving to a point here with Goblet of Fire. You know what happens to Cedric, right?
Right. Yes.
Right. In the play, the Puffs.
Gets what he deserves.
Oh my god.
I'm just joking.
Oh my god. Okay. So, again, the Puffs are looked down upon. I'm going to give away one small spoiler for this. So it's been out for a while. So if you guys haven't seen it or had a chance, whatever, it's on. You can actually buy the movie on Amazon. But there's a point where Cedric, a guy named Cedric, who's not, again, they try to avoid being totally attached to like,
right.
Harry Potter and using branded stuff or whatever. But his name's Cedric. And he says to them at the beginning of the whole play, like, we are totally safe here. There is nothing that can happen to us. Like, and every year it's just like that was the worst thing that could happen last year. That attack, nothing bad will happen. Matt, it goes from like you're laughing, thinking it's funny, to going, oh my God, I know what's coming up. And if they go based off the books, this guy's dead. And
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I was in tears, bro. Like when it happens, it's such a change. You've got to watch that. We will do a watch. I will do a Patreon thing or whatever with Matt, where I make him watch the Puffs, and he'll freaking
I'm
love it.
down.
It's so good. But anyway, Goblet of Fire is such a good because it's got the World Cup. The book is good too, with all the betting that's going on with the twins. The Weasley twins are awesome. So, and I remember that being one of my favorite books too, actually, that I read. I know some people don't like, some people say you're either a fan of the book or you're a fan of the movie for that one because they're so different. They leave out so much stuff. But truly, I just liked the wizarding world schools coming
Right.
together. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. And again, this is such a big deal where really again, talk about some of the things this series did is like sort of groundbreaking. Not only like midnight book releases that are like flooded by people, the decision to split that final thing into 2 movies. I mean, that really kind of had never been done before.
mhm.
And now we've definitely seen it. We're seeing it right now. Dune is getting
Yeah.
2 movies. Twilight, Breaking Dawn was split into into two things. And some other things have done it as
Rise of
well.
Skywalker should have been, yeah.
Rise of Skywalker should have been the final sort of Avengers movie. I guess if you is really kind of 2 parts. That's at least how I view it. Infinity War into Endgame. It's sort of one sort of more set story where it ends at a part that's obviously not good. And so to me, I kind of view it as that's really a 2-part movie. But I mean that had never really been done.
Mhm.
And it's really the only, I guess, criticism of the movies. It's not a criticism. Because I actually think they're really good adaptations. There's stuff obviously that you have to leave out, but man, Goblet of Fire it's like Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite book just because I
Mhm.
love the
Yeah.
day-to-day, like because it's actually kind of slow to
Yeah.
me and not a lot happens. So I feel like you really get to sort of like this is what daily life is like in Hogwarts, and I just think
Right.
that's to me like the coolest thing. Um, but I mean, and it's just so weird. I don't know why that's the book that I sort of appreciate the most, even though I
Sure.
think like the coolest book is probably Order of the Phoenix. I mean, I think that's probably like the
God,
coolest
yeah.
book, the coolest
It's
movie.
good.
But Goblet of Fire is like the total opposite, where it's like every single line, every single page is so jam packed with stuff
Yeah.
that it's like they start when the movie starts, it's like you're like 14 chapters in because it's just there's so much
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It really needed to, and I still think they do a great job. That movie, God, it just would have been so much better had it been 2 parts. I think everything else is fine as one movie,
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
obviously the exception of 8. I don't some of that would have been too slow, but, man, I think, it's just like that would have been so much better at 2 because you could just get so much more in.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Like, I do still understand totally. There's so much that they cut out, and I wish they would have had little things like Ollivander showing up, the weighing of the wands. Cool little
Right.
thing. Why the hell couldn't he be there just to weigh
Yeah,
those? Like that would have been awesome. But it is what it is. I think
it's
they
great.
did still a good job
Oh,
for what.
absolutely, they did.
Yeah, and
I think it's the most jam-packed book.
yeah,
Even
I
more
think
s
so.
Deathly Hallows is a race, but, like, I don't know, to me, Goblet of Fire is like a freaking sprint. I mean, it's just like the
Yeah,
pace is so fast.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's my. So I guess we went over like that's my favorite book and favorite movie. I would say. You know
Is
what?
Goblet
Hold on. There's one scene in
right.
all the movies that
I
is
know,
my
yeah.
favorite. Okay, right? The body will decay, but the spirit lingers on. And
Let's
it's
go.
it's freaking Slughorn. I think I would have done everything I could to have been in the Slug Club. I might have been the only Hufflepuff who got in there. And by God, that would have been my thing. House Cup, screw you. I'm going in to the Slug Club because whether I had to be Neville and serve or I got in on whatever, I think he's just cool. I know there's issues with him and people don't whatever, but he was a great potions master. He had a lot of good energy. He just wanted a good time. He just wanted those tickets. He wanted,
Mhm.
his opinions to be read in the paper, like whatever. He tries to serve in the light. Now, did he tell Voldemort about Horcruxes? Yes. By God, Matt, he did. But I don't think he thought anything. It's one of those things like that's not still his fault. It's not his
Right.
fault. Sorry, getting into a Slughorn thing.
No, that's okay.
Half-Blood Prince is freaking amazing. I love that movie.
Yes. So guys, hey, leave us a comment, right? If you're over here on Patreon, we'll probably have a Facebook page and some other stuff, some other Twitter and stuff like that, some other ways for you guys to interact with us. But leave us a comment or shoot us an email, right, at elderwandpod@gmail.com. Let us know what's your sort of rankings. What's your rankings? Which movie's your favorite?
Yeah.
Why is it your favorite? Yeah, exactly. Because I
Love
think they're all
those.
great. I really don't think there's any way to describe. I think there's some people, even Chamber of Secrets might be their favorite, and I can see arguments for that too, because Lockhart's kind of hilarious. So so absolutely. So shoot us that. Thank you guys for checking us out here on Patreon or Apple Premium. Again, it's an enormous help to Ez and I to helps us get stuff, make the show that much better, and put it in a better place. So with that, we will see you guys next time, and remember to have your wands at the ready.